You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, guys, we're going to be talking about Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman. As you guys know, Richard Sherman is actually on Undisputed now with Skip Bayless. Now, 10 years ago, they had an incident on ESPN First Take, and Stephen A. Smith was actually there. And it got pretty ugly. It got personal. And boy, a lot of athletes, guys, they actually don't really like Skip Bayless. We know that Skip Bayless, he was the first one really to kind of like call out LeBron and go after him. A lot of people in the media didn't like it. But Skip Bayless is who he is. He stuck by his guns. And that incident 10 years ago on First Take, the show was in some trouble. Even Skip Bayless actually admitted to it, and also Stephen A. Smith. Now, on Undisputed the other day, Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless actually talked about that incident. And Skip Bayless said that, hey, we were in trouble over there at ESPN First Take. They were trying to keep the show alive. And then Stephen A. Smith comes out and says that Skip Bayless was telling the truth, but he left out something. We're going to get into that, guys. So here we go. It says here, Stephen A. Smith calls out Skip Bayless for leaving out important info on infamous First Take incident. And we're talking about what actually happened with Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of a refresher here. Let's just play a little bit of this. This is actually from 10 years ago. I found this clip here so you guys can hear some of the interaction between Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless. Gets pretty ugly. Let's play it.
That's what I leave it up to. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Skip can say whatever he wants, but Skip, whenever you refer to me, whenever you speak to me, whenever you address me as All-Pro Stanford graduate, because those are some accomplishments you can aspire to, you will never accomplish. You have never accomplished anything. So, but those things are on my resume. Those are what I've done. It's my second year in the NFL, going on my third. I mean, you tell me who's wrong.
Okay, I'll accept that. I think I've accomplished more in my field than you have in yours, though you're just getting started.
So I'm the top of my field. So I'm all pro. I'm the best, one of the best 22 players in the NFL. You're going to brush it off, but I don't think you're the best 22 anything in sports and in media and anything. I think you think more of yourself than you actually can, prove. But
okay, you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
In my 24 years of life, I'm better at life than you.
Okay,
so
all right, that's fair.
Let's get down to that.
Let's not get personal here. I just want to know. Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you. So I have nothing to say about him. I mean, that's pretty much done. My numbers speak for themselves. I'm a first-team All-Pro. That's that.
Okay, well, answer this question for me. I want to know why you are doing what you're doing this offseason. You're obviously on a campaign to do a lot of interviews, a lot of trash talk. Now you want to trash talk me, which is totally cool with me.
Actually, I'm on a campaign to do a lot of community service.
Okay, I know you are at your high school. We're going to talk about that in just a minute.
High school, speaking to high school kids.
What's your goal? Richard, what's your motive here?
To be the best NFL corner in.
Okay, but do you want to promote yourself into a bigger name, a household name, so that you can do more commercials and maybe have your own show? Is that your goal?
The first team All-Pro is my goal. I accomplished it. So now it's on to bigger and better things. Those are my goals. Those are always going to be my goals. Super Bowl is the goal. Pro Bowl, things like that. Team goals. We want to win it all, and that's what it comes down to. I'm out here in LA trying to speak to kids, do the community service, spoke to my high school, spoke to Bourbon Day. But you always want to bring the negative side because that's who you are. You speak negatively about everybody, including LeBron, including Kobe, including everybody, because you don't have anything positive to say about anybody.
Well, I speak objectively about all those people.
That's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine because I understand that. I am intelligent enough, capable enough to understand that you are ignorant, pompous, egotistical, cretin. And that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, so you heard that. Not going to play the whole thing. But that is some of the incident that actually happened before. Now, on Undisputed, Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless actually talked about that. And they said that they're all cool now and everything like that. And Skip Bayless addressed the situation. He said he was actually holding back, because First Take was actually on thin ice. I guess they were threatening to actually pull the show. But Stephen A. Smith says that Skip Bayless was telling the truth, but he left out something. And boy, this actually involves Tim Tebow. I was pretty stunned by this here. So listen in to Stephen A. Smith here. Let's play it.
Now let me get to Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless. Because for you all, I wanted to play a part of the conversation that Skip Bayless had with Richard Sherman about what had transpired between them on First Take more than 11 years ago. Before you play the sound, I want to say this to y'all. It was a lengthy conversation, and I'm certainly not going to play it in its entirety. But I wanted to make sure that I avoided engaging in revisionist history and really limiting myself to specifically what Skip Bayless was talking about. Because obviously, once upon a time, 11 years ago, Richard Sherman came on First Take when First Take had a special in the afternoon, and Richard Sherman was our guest, still a member of the Seattle Seahawks. And he flat out called Skip Bayless out, called him a cretin, said he's better at being a human being, and the list went on and on, just lit into Skip. It was one of the most uncomfortable moments any of us have ever seen or experienced in television sports history. It was that bad. And Richard Sherman just went right after Skip Bayless. So the fact that Richard Sherman is now partnering with Skip Bayless on Undisputed is something that took people aback. Well, Skip Bayless, in introducing Richard Sherman, wanted to revisit how things had unfolded and what exactly was going on at the time that Richard Sherman decided to try to undress him on national television on First Take 11 years ago.
So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to fast forward through the part where they're addressing it. But Stephen A. Smith is about to drop some bombshells here and add on to it. So let's go about right here.
Skip Bayless told the truth. We were in dicey situations. No doubt about it. He did not lie to y'all. If you remember, I was considered a relatively controversial individual. And obviously, I ruffled feathers from time to time, no doubt. There's a lot of mistakes that I made in my career, and there's no doubt about that. When I misspoke, speaking about the Ray Rice situation, and I didn't articulate my thoughts as cogently as I should have, I had an issue there. But I want to remind everybody, I wasn't the only reason. The part that Skip Bayless did not say,
here we go,
is that although First Take had climbed the charts and was really establishing ourselves as the flagship show of the network as opposed to SportsCenter, where we were en route to doing that, the part that Skip Bayless left out was the fact that the bosses at the time didn't care. They had remembered that Skip Bayless lived off of talking about Tim Tebow every day before I arrived. They had accused Skip Bayless, meaning the public, of being a caricature of himself. And even though Skip was incredibly proud of his Tim Tebow coverage and what was peeled from it, The bosses weren't necessarily enamored with it.
There you go, guys. The ESPN bosses hated Skip Bayless talking about Tim Tebow. I'm wondering, guys, if it actually had to do with Tim Tebow being a Christian. Now, I remember the whole Tim Tebow thing. All he does is win, that kind of thing. They actually made a song about that, and the ESPN bosses hated it. And the coverage of Tim Tebow was the reason why ESPN First Take was actually on thin ice. Stephen A. Smith just said it.
Skip Bayless was incredibly proud of his coverage of Tim Tebow. The bosses felt otherwise. And so that's the part he left out. I wasn't the only reason that probationary period per se existed. It existed because the network wanted to make sure that our show wasn't one that just generated ratings, but one that didn't cause them embarrassment and shame. Now, I didn't want to talk about Tebow every day, and I damn sure wasn't going for it, and it stopped when I arrived. But to be clear and fair to Skip, it did elevate the popularity of the show to some degree, even if people were critical of it. When they talked about Tim Tebow every day, although it got on folks' nerves, the bottom line is there were ratings that came from that. And Skip was very, very proud of that coverage.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. I'm not going to play the rest of that. Stephen A. Smith just laid it out. Yeah, the Richard Sherman thing, you know, them trying to get the afternoon show, but Stephen A. Smith, actually, I'm going to go back right here at the end. He did say, I believe somewhere around here, he did say that, I don't need to play it. He did say that the Richard Sherman incident cost him that afternoon show. But he said that wasn't the only reason. It was also Skip Bayless's obsession with Tim Tebow. They didn't like it. And I'm really wondering, guys, if the whole Christian thing really did bother the higher ups at ESPN. I'm willing to bet it did. So there you have it, guys. Stephen A. Smith calling out Skip Bayless for leaving that part out. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.